For some of the early adopters and most active users in the JPunks Discord, Christmas came early when the beta of the JPunks app was announced just a couple days before Christmas. And we've been able to play with it for the last few days, and I just wanted to go over the things that I've found and show everyone how it all works, so that those of us who are waiting to get it will know what to do when it arrives. I found that I was not able to load it through Parallels Desktop on my Mac, and in fact I do need to use a PC. The Parallels Desktop loaded properly, but when you opened it and imported a JPunk from your wallet, it seemed to break. So this is a PC only piece of software as far as I can tell. If you've had success using Parallels or another piece of software to run it on your Mac, do share it with the rest of us so we could try that out. But once you've opened it, all you have to do is load in your wallet address. Currently this is not gatewayed, so you can in fact put any wallet address in there and it will load the JPunks in that wallet. Once the actual software comes out, you will need to connect your wallet and prove ownership before you'll get access. In this wallet there's a whole bunch of them. One thing I've noticed is that they are not loaded in alphabetical order. It looks to me like they are loaded with the most recent JPunks at the top. So 7762 was the one I just bought today, 7765 I also bought today, and 3203 was the one I bought previously, a couple days ago. So it looks to me like they load in order of when you made your last purchase, which makes sense because if I scroll right to the bottom, here are some of the ones I bought early on. So let's load 7762. Immediately you're taken into the generic pose. If you hold your mouse over the three lines top left, you get a range of options to choose from. Home brings you back to this point here, and scene controls is where we want to go first. You're originally brought into the podium environment. You can reset it to the infinity curve, which is like a photographic studio kind of look. And the last one that is there currently is the green screen, which is terrible on the eyes, but highly useful if you want to import that into a video software, key out the green and use what you've got in a video or other editing software. Let's just go back to the infinity curve for now. The lighting controls, there's 4 presets and then you can adjust all of them. They will change as you click through them. So you'll see the lights spinning around. If we zoom right out, you see where they go. So right in front of the camera, which basically deer in the headlights kind of look. And then you've got all 3 lights on one side, and then one of my favorites with this sort of glow around the back. One thing I'd like to see is the size of the light being able to be changed. Currently with the glow, for example, which is currently the fill light, this is the one at the back. When you move it, you can see the light moving and the shadow, etc., which is great, but you can also see that it's only giving them a highlight around a certain part. It would be cool if I could make that bigger, to be able to give him a rim light around his entire body, or be able to control how that looks. The yaw is obviously the left and right location, the pitch is the up and down, and the brightness is just how much of an effect it currently has on the scene. And the scene tells you straight away. One thing I really love about this is immediate feedback. So as you turn that light on, bring the brightness up, not only is it filling in a little bit in the background, but it's giving that highlight around the edge that we wanted. Obviously where you locate it, you get immediate reflections. So a lot of fun. You can have a play and change all sorts of settings, light, brightness, pitch, yaw, which on each of the 3 lights, and you can really kind of sort of just see what that does in real time, which I think is fantastic. If you want to rotate your JPunk, you just use a right click on your mouse and you can rotate them around. So that's the lighting, and once you've set that up, that will go through. You can hit the little camera button up here and it will take a photo of your current setup. Camera settings. This is where we can change our depth of field, the zoom on the camera, which is basically the same as using the scroll wheel. So I've obviously zoomed right in. You can zoom right out. This is the easy way to go to see exactly where you're at. Can add filters as well. So currently we're set to none. You can add that sort of 3D look. Potentially it would work if you had 3D glasses. And these preset filters that you can add over the top, which I think are pretty cool. Really does allow you to set up a scene and capture it in a way that's quite a lot of fun. Animations. So there is a library of current, I always go the wrong way. There's a library of current animations that have been preloaded, basically motion capture scenes that are then just added in here for your convenience. Pretty violent, that breakdance, and I'm not entirely sure what he's spinning on. Maybe a turntable. One cool thing is you can actually rotate him while he's walking and make it look like he's walking around in circles. This guy works out. So there's some fun to be had with some pre-recorded motion capture. In the posing section, you are given a number of points to be able to control. Obviously, if you grab the head, it will highlight where you are currently selected, so torso, left leg, left thigh, whatever, right thigh, or other way around. And whatever you move, we'll play on that. Obviously, if you move a core, you move the whole spine. One thing that hasn't been programmed in is limits to movement that are natural. So you can, twist the arm into contorted shapes that are completely unnatural. So it's about a little bit of knowledge of human anatomy, knowing that the bones work this way and not that way. So maybe that's something the team could work on, is obviously the role of an elbow. This particular joint will have a limit and you won't be able to move it the wrong way, but I guess there might be times when you need to be able to move it a certain way. One thing I'd like to see is a clench of the hands, where you're able to either point fingers, maybe have some hand gestures that are pre-recorded or preset. You just click a button and it goes into that. Or a control that controls how either individual fingers or the entire fist can open and shut. Would be quite a lot of fun. The last icon, which looks like an old top hat, is the traits customization, and this is where we can turn what we have in our mouth off. In this case it means his mouth opens. I'll take the hat off, and I'm assuming we can see his tongue, but perhaps not. Oh yeah. So it's a gold tongue, and it's having the same issue with reflections as the teeth and the eyes are having, where there's nothing to reflect off. Oh look, there's a little bit in the eye there. Must be reflecting the ground. The tongue can't reflect anything, so it just goes dark. If you download the LiveLink Face app, you can connect yourself to your JPunk. Obviously very difficult to talk with pizza in your mouth, so you turn that off. In this case it's given me an open mouth, and it doesn't now read what my mouth is doing. So let's go back to the traits, turn mouth back on. Now it can see when I open my mouth and blink. Blink, wink, open my mouth, smile, pout. So yeah, it's kind of cool, but I'd like to be able to turn the mouth trait off and still use my mouth. So that's something that needs to be adjusted. I can stick my tongue out, which is kind of cool. Kind of fun. And where you hold your phone makes a big difference as to where the JPunk then gets its relation. So you can move, I haven't moved my head in that last section, I've just moved where my phone is in relation to me and the angle it's on. So that's an easy way of adjusting if you get out of kilter like I just did. One thing I've noticed when you move your head around is some of the traits that are attached to your head can go a bit weird. So here the chain twists and turns, seeming to grow out of nowhere or stretch. It's a whole bunch of links that just stretch. On a JPunk that has a tie, I found that the tie would get lost inside the shirt. Anyway, let's turn that app off. Looking pretty good. Loving that gold skin. You can reset, which will take your current JPunk all the way back to where it was. Obviously the head's slightly off, and I think that's got something to do with turning that app on and off and not quite resetting the head back to the normal pose that we had. But we can go into posing and just play around with getting that back on the right. There we go. Back on the right angle. If I click the three lines and go to back to main menu, that's when I can choose another JPunk. So I want to paste my wallet back in, load my JPunks, and then pick one that I want to play with this time. And I want to actually have a go with the diamond. There it is. As I mentioned before, there's something going on with the diamond, right? There's nothing to reflect off, and so it's giving us a lot of black reflections. If we go to the infinity curve, it doesn't get any much better. It's a little bit better, I guess. It's a bit brighter across his shoulders, so maybe it's picking something up. Something weird going on here with our posed face. So let's see if we can reset, see if that changes anything. No, so I'll just close out of the program and reopen it. One thing I've noticed is it's pretty fast. You don't have to wait too long. Doesn't feel like it's chugging along trying to do too much. So actually resetting and coming back in is pretty easy. There we go, heads back to normal. A little bit of a glint off the eye there, that's nice. But yeah, one cool thing about this particular skin is when you change the lighting, it's really obvious on the skin itself, because a lot of what we're looking at is reflections. So let's change to the infinity curve. Yeah, there's definitely more. See how that dark has now become a grey? It's still quite a dark room. I would love to have a matrix perfectly white, just as an option, or potentially have the ability to drop in reflectors, big white objects just off camera that reflect light back in. As I was saying before, actually moving these lights is where you get a lot of appreciation for this skin. Subtle, but pretty. diamond is pretty beautiful. One thing I'd also like to be able to do is to tilt the camera down. I can move the camera up and I can move it down, but I'm not looking, doesn't feel like I'm looking down. Feels like the whole camera is moving up and down. Maybe not, hard to tell. But I'd love to come above and then look down on his nose a little bit maybe, but I can't seem to be able to do that. It's just, see, that perspective of the top of the head doesn't change. So maybe the camera is tilting down. It does feel a bit like we're looking down at his feet there, doesn't it? We're not looking across at his feet. But I can't raise the camera up so I can look down on him, for example, which I might want to do. He's pretty sweet. I gotta take a photo of that. Where do those photos go? I have no idea. Let's go find out. So I found it. It's in the folder that you created when you installed the program. I put it in the program files folder, and under saved screenshots windows you have all the images that you've created, and it also saves, along with the image that you made, a cutout for the alpha channel, which you could use as a mask in Photoshop, which would mask out the background and only leave your JPunk. Very easy to do, copy paste. I can show you that in another video if you like. So there you have it. Let's go to 100%. Looking pretty good. Great way of creating content, that's for sure. There's one thing I didn't go over before, was in the camera settings, your depth of field. So your zoom, obviously, you can play with. Depth of field is set to foreground and background, both in focus. And you can see as you go further down, the background goes more and more out of focus. So you can immediately see that there is a depth of field applied, and all you do is you click on the area that you want to be in focus. Whether it be the bow tie, the slime on the front of the nose, the back of the head. Obviously, depending on the pose that you've got. The further out you go, the less of an effect you get, even on the very, very out of focus option. Because you're so far away, the whole JPunk falls within that depth of field. But it's only as you zoom in that you start to see that that depth actually drops off dramatically. And good photography says you always get the eye in focus, so that's really where you should be clicking. And if you were to then, look through your animations, you'll see that he actually moves in and out of focus because of where that plane is. So it may be, always do that, it may be better to use the middle one and select your focus while your animation's going on, so that you can double check that the bit that you want in focus is in focus throughout the whole shot. As he moves, he's going to come in and out of that focus as well, so I spin him around, he's no longer in focus. So while the focus can be a lot of fun, probably better for stills, and really having the whole JPunk in focus is a little bit easier for the animated motion. So there you have it, the JPunks beta app in all its glory, with outputs and plenty of chance to go play in Photoshop using the green screen or using the alpha channel. Go have fun.